Friday.
Hello.
Live on a Friday.
I know it's so weird.
Busting
So
out of
weird.
our norm here.
Is, but it's a good norm. I
It
like
is. I like our
Fridays.
Tuesday at 10. I was not here. I was driving home from Florida. I got in like Tuesday at 10 p.m. And I know you had some stuff going on too. But
I
yeah,
did.
I'm good now. Like I feel like I don't really have anything planned for a while. I did a lot. So
You drove. How
I
many
was
miles did you drive
You know what?
last
I
week or
didn't
this
look.
week?
So Delray Beach to here to Macomb. So I don't know. You know what? I should have looked how many miles that was, but it was 24 hours. I mean, it when you look it up, it was a 19-hour drive. But when you factor in stopping to go to the bathroom and eating and all the things,
It's
it took 24
24.
hours. Yeah,
Oh
it took
yeah.
us 24 hours. It was
Easy.
like 12 and 12. I would say actually it was 12 and 11 because we started at 11 a.m. on Tuesday and we got here at 10. So it was 23 hours. So
Okay.
that's good. 23-hour drive, but yeah, so now I'm back. I missed the last 5 really nice days here. Well, actually we have beautiful days, just a little chill. It was chilly this morning, but we definitely have the fall weather and so much going on in the market. We definitely have, I mean, the shift is here to a balanced, going towards a balanced market. We're seeing it more in some areas than others. But so yeah, today I thought it would be great to talk about, like, of course, we always want to be fashion. I say fashion forward. It's not fashion, but like we want to be like, what's the latest and greatest? What's hitting the news? What's the hot topic in real estate? So, people are asking, and rightfully so, what's going to happen with the government shutdown? How's it affecting things like flying? I was worried about my flight down to Florida because I had to fly there and then drive back. I was worried about that. That was fine. That's considered mandatory, essential. Um, but people want to know what's going to happen with loans that are FHA, VA, and USDA, because government-backed loans. Are they still funding? Are you able to get pre-approved? Are you even able to do them right now? Like, it's a
It
hot topic.
it is a hot topic, and so right before I got on this with you, I was on phone call with a client, a past client, and I just to kind of throw this out there for anybody listening, in mortgages, I mostly work with individuals who are in between life, like divorce. A
Mhm.
huge section of my clients are in that transition of divorce, upsizing, and a lot of my other client base is VA. About 80% of my client base is active or retired military. So
Yeah.
with that said, with the active military, the retired military, what does that look like in the real estate industry? So on my Facebook, I did a quick video of what that meant on Thursday. Even though you and I didn't go live, I still posted a small video of what the market looks like, and the market hasn't changed. So VA and the USDA loans are still
And
continuing
FHA.
through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And FHA, yes. So everything is still continuing through. Now, USDA, there may be some slight slowdowns because of the websites
Okay.
and also flood insurance. So FEMA.
That's the
Get
part that people don't know. It's the little
it's a little
pieces.
things.
It's not
y-
just the funding, it's the income verification. It's the, like you just said,
The
if you need
fund,
flood
the flood.
insurance.
Mhm.
And of course, like those little along the way type of steps, are those agencies opening and
Just
how are they functioning? Or is there a delay? And, we're talking about the shutdown. Anyone just joining us, is the shutdown, what is it doing? How is it affecting real estate? How is it affecting certain loan products? Can some people are freaking out about it. So we wanted to like kind of give some clarity.
there's
And
so much. So I
yeah,
just got off the phone, and this one is active military. And right now, what it looks like for them as an active duty individual that have and what's going to happen with their pay and how are they
mhm.
going to pay their mortgage and the resistance of what they feel versus what they hear at the news and what's actually going to happen. So it's interesting. So let me touch base back before I continue about that client
Yeah.
where we're at. FHA, VA, things are still going okay if you have a purchase or refinance that you're thinking about doing or are in the process of. There's just
Mhm.
those slight delays.
Right. Yeah.
With flood insurance, that's what's going to slow this down. As you said, income verification. That's what's going to slow down the process. But here's the deal, when we communicate and we're organized as a team, Holly and I, when we're sitting there we're negotiating or if we're under contract with somebody or
Mhm.
even a normal loan, we've already
Mhm.
talked to the listing agent going, hey, with this scenario, even though we normally can close from 12 to 15 to 20 to 30, this may take a little bit longer, but we haven't really seen much.
Right.
So there's and what's going to happen is some of the banks I've talked to personally,
Mhm.
um, at Plaza, UWM, there's a lot of AEs, account executives I've talked to, and I've done my research. Like,
Yeah.
how does this look? They're going
Right.
to be doing flood waivers. So we have the map. The map will work. They're going to hold off to the very end to
Yeah.
run flood. And by that time, we think the government's going to be opened up. This happened last year. Just the
Was
news
happened a
has
few times.
it
It
has.
happened with Bill. So Clinton had there was a shutdown. With Obama, there was a shutdown, and with Trump's first administration, there was a shutdown. So I think the Trump one was 35 days. I just looked this up, and um, Obama's was 16, and I think Clinton's was 19. So it's
This is
within 30 days they're going to get it or less. They're going to get it figured out. So
it
that's a
is,
good
and
workaround. That's a good workaround,
yeah,
I
so
think.
we know let's talk about the flood. We need to know that if it's in a floodplain, we just wanna make sure, the independent insurance agencies are still giving flood insurance. So
Right.
if your house that you're purchasing is actually in a flood zone, you still can get insurance, even though FEMA is and I actually don't even think FEMA's closed down. I'm not sure about that one, but do
Well,
you
they're
still
essential. They're essential in like what they do, but like
Mhm.
the flood insurance, they may not consider that fully essential. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and here's the thing, the difference between FEMA and private flood insurance is the amount of money you spend. FEMA is so expensive because it's FEMA, or you can go private, which is a lot less expensive. Both of those policies will only insure your home up to 250,000. So
Hmm.
I have a client who lives on the water over in I want to say it's closer to Port Huron. I'm trying to remember. I think they're considered East China,
Yeah,
but they're on
probably.
the water, right?
Yep.
Do you know right where Lake St. Clair goes into the canal that goes to Lake Huron where it turns teal? Like that moment, there's like a color shift in the water. It's actually a very cool experience. They
I've
live
probably
right
seen it,
there.
but I'm never going to be able to tell you which waterway that is. I'm thinking of
Okay.
that's not the Bell River. I'm thinking because Bell River runs
It's
through
near
East
Beaver
China.
Island or something, like,
Okay.
up there
Yeah.
where I don't the water is teal, like Caribbean teal. It's
Oh.
clashes of the water, it's beautiful, but it's a flood zone, and it's a $800,000 house in a flood zone,
Mm.
and no matter what policy they looked at, the house is only covered for 250.
Oh
So,
gosh.
you have those nice homes on
That's a
the water.
problem. Yeah, no
It
one's going to
is
want to do that.
FEMA's the same and the private insurance. So no matter what, it's the same. So you
Jeez.
don't need to have FEMA flood insurance, is my
Right.
point. You can go
Right.
private. They're
Yeah.
still doing private. We're fine. And here's the
Mhm.
thing. The when it comes down to getting a loan in the
Mhm.
purchase process, we're fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. If we're working with an active military member, which happens, let's say I'm in a process of a loan with an active military member and they're not getting a paycheck. All we have to do is establish a pattern, establish that, yes, the government's in a shutdown. They are going to get paid. This is what some of the
Right.
news outlets are saying is that, oh, they're not going to get paid. They're not going to get paid. Okay, they're not getting paid right now. There's no funds. But the moment everything comes back, they get paid
Retroactive. Yeah.
retroactive.
Yeah. They're
They're
getting
going
paid, just
to.
not right this second.
What's challenging is a lot of them live paycheck to paycheck. That's a
Right.
hardship. If you're
Yeah, it
living paycheck
is.
to paycheck, and this is where I want to do the full circle, we can still do the purchase. We can still do the refinance. We still see that you're employed. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you're not employed. It means you're
Right.
just not getting a paycheck for this one pay period on the 15th.
Right.
It's the individuals who are living paycheck to paycheck that this is going to be challenging for. And so
Right.
you have Navy Federal Reserve, you have the US, USAA, you have, I believe, and can someone chime in? Anybody chime in? Is it AE,
Mhm.
Army Emergency Services? Is it AES, or someone needs to chime in? I think I'm going to get this wrong. So Army's Emergency Reserve, they're not lending. They're not doing
Mhm.
small loans,
Okay.
which
So
means
yeah,
they're
some of it.
not they're not funded. So here's a fun fact. In 2020, Fed Daddy, our favorite persons,
Yeah.
they actually before 2020 made every bank have a 10% reserve. Fed Daddy said that's no longer needed. And look at what's happening. These
Mm-hmm.
families who are paycheck to paycheck, and you're hearing them on the news, rightfully so, that there's a stay-at-home mom, the husband is active duty, they have 3 kids, they are living paycheck to paycheck. What are they gonna do to pay these bills so they're not late? Navy, even with 700 credit scores, are denying people. USAA is saying that there's no funding.
Uh-uh.
The AES, please correct me if I'm wrong, the
Yeah, you had
Army.
somebody respond, Army Emergency Relief.
Oh, so AER. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So, I knew I got that one wrong. They're not lending money because there is no money. They don't
Right.
have the reserve
Right.
because Fed Daddy back in 2020 said you no longer need that. Well, now there's no funds. But here's the next thing that I'm a little nervous about. We're gonna see how this plays out. They are hoping that every on the 15th, people deposit their money into their bank. Well, there's no money being deposited into the banks
Right.
because there's no paycheck. So
That's
they stopped all their small loan lending. Now, for
I get that
mortgages,
because they know they're not getting anything from these
well, they
people
don't
right now.
they don't have the reserves. This
Right.
is what's being discussed, and this is a hardship that our active military and the individuals who work for the state are going through right now. This is real life what's happening. Are they
Yeah.
going to get paid when everything comes back on? Absolutely, they're going to get
Right.
paid.
Yeah.
It's just trying to make your bills this month so you don't go behind. Now, I had a client the one I just got off the phone with, um, she called her bank that handles her car note. They said that they'll take a skip a payment. And they're doing that for a lot of people, doing a skip a payment where they take their car note, that one that you get. Some banks have it and some
Yeah.
don't. Be
Yep. They'll let
careful.
you do that.
Don't
They
take my
tack it on to the
word.
end. Yeah.
They tack it on the end without
Yep.
having a 30-day late. But then I have another client who called the bank and said, "I can't make this mortgage payment." And they're like, "Well, there's nothing days late. So when you're 30 days late, we'll help out." And she's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Whoa,
Yeah. You don't
don't
want to
be
be 30
30
days late.
don't be 30 days late." And you
Mm-mm.
don't have this in writing that they're going to help out. Be careful. Can you shift your bills around? And that's when, like talking about skip a payment with your card, can you be
Mm-hmm.
strategic? Can we do this? Can we do that? So I've had a lot of people calling me saying, "What can I do to pay my mortgage? What can I do to get help?" And sadly, a lot of it's not equipped, kind of like 2020, when individuals were like, "Wait a minute, how are we going to survive?" When
Well, they did
they
forbearance, but that wasn't great because they got 4 months. But then at
it hurt their credit.
that 4 months, though, it did hit their credit, but all of it was due on that day. It wasn't like you skipped these 4 months. It was all due on that day. So it really didn't help a lot of people. It actually hurt them. It just it delayed the fact that they were going to have a situation.
It is. So what this is I don't wanna say normal. This has happened in history
Yeah.
before, like everything you just said like you
Every
said
single
about
administration it's
Obama. Yeah.
happened. Clinton,
Mm,
Obama, and the
Obama.
last Trump. It's happened every single administration that
Mhm.
we've had since. So I don't even know prior to Obama, probably. I didn't look that far back, but yeah.
Yeah. And so the hardship is really is if any clients are living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to
Right.
be challenging for them. But
Right.
for the market itself, we're still proceeding forward. We're still acting business as because we can. There may
Hmm.
be a few slowdowns due to income verification and flood
Hmm.
and checking that flood policy, but that's about it. So just if you're a listing agent and you're out there listening to us, please know, work together, have that open communication, and we'll
Right.
get the loan closed. It may be slightly delayed a day or two, but what's a day or two of someone who wants a house?
Well,
Nothing.
here's the thing. The only downside I see is listing agents who don't know. And there is a factor of there's some things we don't know exactly how long it's going to take. Unfortunately, these loans are going to be looked at with more scrutiny if they're up against a conventional loan. They just will. Because of this right now, even though you're absolutely right, it's probably not going to be an issue, maybe a couple days delay. Sellers don't like the unknown. They don't like, and listing agents don't either, because again, you're recommending them to take an offer. If something goes wrong with it, it's always on you. Like, why'd you recommend this offer then if this could have happened? So listing agents do have to let them know, hey, we're in a shutdown. This could happen. Give them the information. So that's the downside I see right now for people who, if you can go conventional and you have to get a house and you're up against other offers, you just need a really great your buyer's agent. You need a great agent that's able to talk to that listing agent, say, hey, is this going to really truly affect us? We need to know, because we want the house. So
And
that's the
even the
only problem
lender.
I see.
But even the lender. So a lot of lenders don't call that
Yes.
listing agent when your negotiations start. I do. I'm one of the few that like to call saying, "Hi, I'm here. I like to communicate. How can I be help? How can I be part of the team?" So it's the three of us. Well, title
Yeah.
two. So I guess four. But overall, you have that unity. We're moving forward. We all have the same goal. And as long as we communicate and keep
Right.
organized, everybody will feel comfortable within
Exactly.
this process. So, with the government shutdown, there's not much of a delay. It's not severed. Nobody's freaking out. Right now, the only issue I'm seeing is that my clients who currently have a mortgage and how they're going to handle this if they're living paycheck to paycheck. And
Right.
they're a little scared.
Yeah, so if you're that person who's listed, you do, and you're also a buyer, you do not want to miss a payment, because unfortunately, the lenders will get really nervous if they see you missing payments. And I mean, they should take it into account that yes, you're not getting paid and you're a government employee, but it could still be a thing. So, like Cece said, do other things and find a way to stay current with your mortgage. Like you said, like if you have to defer a car payment, if they let you do that, or something else, maybe pay the minimum on the credit card instead of paying it off, whatever you have to do to try to keep current with that, especially until you're under contract and you don't want your credit to take any hits or show anything
No.
while you're in that process.
And it's easy to want to trust. Some people trust too quickly. If the bank's going to say, "Oh, don't worry, when you go 30 days late," unless you have this in writing, that
Yes.
they're going to help you and there's no negative recourse and you're not
Hmm.
going to have a 30-day late, which by the way, the
Hmm.
banks don't put in writing.
Of course
Fun
not.
fact, they're
No,
not going to do it.
they're not
Don't
going to do
believe
that.
them.
Right.
Don't get hurt. If you have any questions, call me. I've been fielding so many phone calls this week with my clients again because about 80% of my clients are active or retired military. And what does this look like for them? So you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Holly if you're nervous about wanting to search for a home. Again, reach out to us, ask us
Yeah.
questions. We have our thumb on this heartbeat. We know what's going on. Hopefully, I know that the last vote was well, technically, the last vote was yesterday. I think they're trying to vote again today. No one thinks that they're gonna vote for this, and then Monday is a holiday.
Right. Okay.
So nothing is going to happen Monday. So we have to go through this whole weekend.
Mhm.
And from what I understand with the Senate, there's quite a few individuals who are sitting there and a lot of senators who are like, who won't talk, who's not taking phone calls. They just want dead silent on the matter. They don't want to discuss why they're not doing what they're doing. And a lot of them came home
Well,
today
it's
or coming
clear.
home.
It's clear. And I put something up on my Facebook actually. Like I just put the press secretary giving the information on what the holdup was and why. So I think when you understand why certain members are not budging on some things, it really does make sense. We're looking at things like how to get our government spending under control, our economy. So I do feel bad for the people who aren't getting paid, honestly, and it's not me. So right, like I'm not an employee. I don't know what it's like to get a check every week, anyways. So it must be nice. I always have to be really good in budget with my money. But for people who don't have to do that and don't know how to do that, which really everyone should know how to do that. But if they don't, I do feel bad for them because it is tough being in that situation. But the truth is, there's a good reason for it, and we do need to have a consensus on what we're spending and where we're spending it because these things are going to be part of our overall budget that we're trying. This administration is trying to get the budget under control. That's why we had Doge. That's why we have had these open conversations. I've never heard a president talk about, oh my gosh, 9 million to the, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, what is that? Right. And he's like, nobody knows. Right. So this is part of that agenda to get some clarity and some transparency to how our funds are being spent, our tax dollars are being spent. And so that's the thing. Unfortunately, the fallout is people who work in the government agencies. But again, when you get that job, you go in knowing that this could be a thing. Like when you apply for these jobs, you do know that you're a government employee. This can happen, right? So you're signing up for that. So if I was that person, I would have a nest egg, which you really should have 6 months of living expenses per Dave Ramsey's. You should have at least
Yeah.
3. You really should have at least 3 months living
It's
expenses.
hard when you're brand new and you're young and you don't know what history has what has happened
And
in
you
the
haven't lived life and nothing bad has happened. You haven't had a car
yeah.
accident or been sick and now you're laid up and you can't work for a little while. Like it can happen to anybody really, not just government
Mhm.
employees. It can happen to anybody, right? Like you can't work for a period of time or something happens or God forbid people going through cancer treatments, and chemo and so many things happen. You fall on hard times, it's tough. Or you're going through a divorce and you're the spouse that isn't the income person and that person isn't paying the bills on time, right? So now your credit's taking a hit. So there are so many things that can happen. So it there is like my thought is always insulate yourself. This is just again free financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor. This is just common sense advice, I should say. Have some money on the side always for these types of things. You should, all of us, not just a government place, all of us should. You should never live paycheck to paycheck. Find a way to change your lifestyle so you don't have to do that. Live within your means so you can save so that you don't have to be like, oh my God, what do I do? Because nobody's coming to save you. That's one of the best pieces of advice someone gave me. Obviously the Lord is good and he takes care of us, but I've always had the mentality that, be smart about what you do.
Mhm.
Don't expect people to come and save you. Like, plan for that. Plan for the unexpected stuff. That's it. Welcome to my TED Talk, and now I'm done. I'll get off the soapbox. But we got to be
Well,
smart with
it's
finances. It's
it's a
part of the
big
reason our
topic.
country's in trouble.
Yeah, it's a big topic of the week of it's eye-opening for a lot of state employees and military members where it's time to have that conversation, and it's a hard conversation to have, and it's hard when someone else can control that variable and it's not you. It's never
Yeah, that's
comfortable.
frustrating. That's
That's the hard
frustrating.
that's the frustration I hear this
Yeah,
week is that
I
someone
get
else is
that.
controlling this
It's
and that they
frustrating.
are not part of it.
Yep.
So that's something that just I think I've been more of a listening ear this
Yeah.
week
Yep.
of the state employees and what this looks like. We just went under contract of a of a new home for a client of mine, and he's actually retired military.
Okay.
But we decided to go on a conventional loan. And the listing agent, I talked to her. She's like, "Well, I'm glad that you're not going VA because of the shutdown." I'm like, "Actually, fun fact, everything's fine. There may be a
But they
small
don't know that.
slowdown," and
They don't know that.
that was her mentality, and she was
It
thankful we
is.
went conventional. And the only reason why we went conventional is because the numbers made more sense due to
Mhm.
the fact he's putting a large sum of money down. The
Right.
numbers made sense versus using his VA benefits, which is not always the case. You
Right.
don't That's not always the case. So, in this situation, he's able to go conventional, and the listing agent was thankful because she was concerned about the government shutdown. She's even
Right.
concerned about the conventional loan, not just VA or FHA or USDA, which she has properties in all of them in the
Mhm.
USDA areas, and she has a home that will accept an FHA, not the one that we went under contract with. But yeah,
Mhm.
she had some concerns, and we had a really good conversation about it. I put her at ease, and she's like, "Oh, so it's not that bad." I'm like, "No." She's like,
It's
"Then why is
education,
why is the news making it?" I'm like,
because that's
"Because
their
you're
job to make everything salacious and
listening
newsworthy.
you're
It's
listening to
their
the
job to do
news."
all that.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
it's good to be up on top of it, but you have to be careful what outlets you're listening to. Even anything I
always.
say, you say, do your research,
Yep.
really look into this. That's my advice. Read up on this, make sure the hardship that I have right now is to hear that these institutions that are in place, the USAA, the Army Emergency Relief. Thank you, Wade, for bringing that to my attention. Um, and Navy, they're not lending. Well, that's what they're supposed to be there for.
Right.
So that's a little concerning. That's a little
That's
concerning.
tough.
Now, can they fund purchases? Can they do refinances right now? I don't know that answer. For me, we can. We're not them. We do not service through them. But if
Right.
they can't give out a small little loan of $1,500 to a serviceman or a state employee, how are they going to fund a mortgage?
Right.
I don't know. I can't answer that. But on my end, we're okay. We're happy. Everybody's healthy and we're continuing on.
That's good. And it comes down to something that we've talked about a lot, and I'd like to keep always bringing it back to the forefront. Your team of people that you work with really matter, especially in times like this. You need educated professionals that can help you. Your lender, your real estate agent, your title company. You need people who know what they're doing and how to direct the process and how to help you to win in this situation. Like you went to bat for your client and called the listing agent, had to do some educating there because she was concerned. And I get why she's concerned because, again, if it doesn't go through, she's got to go back to the seller, not you. She does, or he, whoever the listing agent is, and say, hey, they're having a problem with their funding. Sellers hire their listing agent. That's, buyers hire their agent and their loan officer, right? So they look at us like, if something goes wrong, you were the point person, you directed me. And I get that, rightfully so. That is what we get paid for, is our expertise. When you're paying that commission, people want to understand, like, why do we get paid what we get paid? Well, you're paying for that expertise. That's why you need to vet your agents out and basically decide, is this somebody that I trust to lead me through this process? Because our commission is negotiable. I know, like, it's different with lending, but ours is negotiable. And there's a reason for that. Agents who are newer and don't know a lot, be careful what make sure that you're worth what you're charging, and you can, facilitate these different areas where we have to be flexible, we have to pivot, and we have to be able to come up with an out of the box solution sometimes. So that's what's important. Who you work with, it's very
Mhm.
important, always.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll definitely keep my eye on what's happening with the government shutdown, what that means in real estate. But bottom line, being patient, being prepared, and working
Absolutely.
together, like you said, is going to be huge. hopefully this will be an eye-opening situation for the Federal Reserve, Fed
Mhm.
Daddy, that they need to put back maybe that 10% reserve for a situation like this again. Because when
Yes.
that was taken
They need to have a
away,
reserve too. We need to have it, but so do they. They need to be responsible.
this kind of highlights the fact that it highlights what went wrong.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's just another, again, if you rely fully on the government, um, well, that's not the best plan you can have. But I do feel bad for the active military, and that because this is their job, and like they shouldn't be penalized. They're serving the country. They shouldn't be penalized for that. So that in
And they're
that
still
respect,
working.
they're still working because they're
They are
essential. So they
still
are still
showing
working.
up.
They are essential. It is a little bit
Yeah.
frustrating, but I think they understand when you're serving the country, they understand probably better than most what's happening and why. And they understand like there are some things that we have to get right in the country, really
Mhm.
important. Like they do probably understand more than the average person, like what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And
A
it
lot of
means
people are
a
just don't know that's ignorance, and I don't mean to sound like that. That word sounds like mean, but it is ignorance. If you don't know about something, you're just ignorant on it. You just need to get educated and understand it better, which is a lot of what's going on is just people just don't know. They don't understand.
And so, with the viewers who've been with us for a while, I haven't had the opportunity. You and I haven't had much time to talk, but my daughter just took her oath for the Army National Guard. So
Yep.
it's very dear and to my heart that I have a family member. Now, my grandmother was the first woman to sign up for the Air Force. The day that
Oh,
they could sign up, she was the first.
good for her. That's awesome.
Both grandparents served. My grandfather was so my grandmother was Air Force. She met her husband, my grandfather, in the Air Force. They're both mechanics on airplanes.
My grandpa
Then,
was a mechanic in the Air Force for World War
yep,
II.
yep. And then
They knew
my
each other. They knew each other. That's
probably, I guarantee it.
They
Then
definitely did. Oh my
my
gosh.
yeah, my grandfather on my mom's side, i- now he is Navy. He worked on a Navy ship
Mhm.
radar. So
Mhm.
when he was in Indonesia and over in that fight, that's where a lot of our ships were going down. They're being blown up, going down. That
Mhm.
man went into his locker, grabbed a Snickers bar, sat on the edge of the warship, and just waited and ate a Snickers bar, thinking that he, he was going down. He
Wow.
survived. Thank goodness, because he had my mother. So I'm
Right. You
here
wouldn't be here.
because I
So
wouldn't be here.
mhm.
I 100% would not be here. So to see the family legacy go through, I actually wanted to join, but I was ineligible due to a knee injury. I'm 4
Mhm.
degrees off from bending my knee. I had my ACL replaced due to a sports injury. I would have I was that crazy one that would have been like, "I'll go with you boot camp." That sounded like fun because I was such an athletic individual, played soccer, the whole thing. But to see my daughter take her oath, and she's very quiet about it. She didn't want me to post about it, but she finally just gave me permission to talk about it. Now, her dad told everybody. She was that's not really her jam, but now it's been about 2 weeks and she's like, "Okay, mom, you can start talking about it." So I officially get to say to everybody, I'm so proud of her for doing this. And even they were discussing her recruiter. I discussed it with a recruiter this week, what this looks like for her, my child, who's a senior in high school that has to go to her drill
Mhm.
and if she's going to get paid or not. And she's not, but she still has to show up. She
Right.
still has to carry out her training. She still has to provide the duty that just swore in to do.
Mhm. But she'll get
So
retroactive too.
she will.
Yeah.
She will for her
So
time.
that's good.
It's just delayed. And luckily,
Mhm.
her being under the umbrella of her finances with with me,
She's still at home, so she's
there's still a
okay.
home. She doesn't have to pay bills.
Right.
She's very lucky what she has to pay for her gas, the food that she goes out with her friends, all that little miscellaneous stuff, but she doesn't have the big bills that she has to be concerned about, thankfully. But
Right.
when we're talking about a government shutdown, this hits hard here, plus my boyfriend's active duty as well.
Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
still has to show up and be there. Same
Right.
situation
Yep.
where you cannot not go to work. Now, a lot of state individuals actually have been told not to come in,
Hmm.
and they still get paid, from my understanding. So they get 2
Wait a
weeks
minute.
off.
They don't have to go in, but they get paid
Yeah,
on a shutdown?
yeah.
Hmm.
'Cause there's nothing for them to do, everything's shut down. The systems are shut down. It's not that they're being asked not to come in.
Okay.
So they're getting yeah.
Because there's nothing for them to do, but they get paid. Wouldn't okay. That's
So I
interesting.
know a few that are like that. Not I don't
Hmm.
know about all, but there's a few. So this
That's
hits home,
interesting.
this conversation. So I'm gonna keep on top of it, what this means for real estate, what this means
Yeah,
for
we'll update on it next week too when we're on
yeah.
Tuesday because typically we're
There,
Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Yeah, I almost said
yeah.
Tuesdays at 2 because it rolls off the tongue, but Tuesdays at 10.
And we did do sorry you guys, this is bothering me. I always have a blanket because I'm a cold individual, and it is falling down. It's bunching up, so I'm getting a little irritated. Let me correct this situation at the moment. I always need a whoopee with me. I'm always cold.
Yeah, well, because we're going into that season now. It is October. Although we have some nice days coming up, it's going to get cold soon. So
Yes. Yes.
well, I think that was a good convo. If you joined us late, you'll be able to watch the replay all about the government shutdown and if it's going to truly affect real estate mortgaging and how we do business. We have some really good points CC brought up, and we will definitely continue the conversation because, again, we like to do the hot topics and what's important and what's going on, news that you can use. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate, put them in the comments. We love to take those questions and discuss them on lives because that's what is if it's important to you, then that's what we want to educate on and communicate and just be that source of info. And so you don't have to go online and get erroneous, wrong, one-sided facts.
Yeah, and continue to do your own research.
Yeah.
Read, look at the source. Make
Look at the
sure the
source.
source is reliable and you can see both sides,
Yeah.
right? It's not just one-sided. Let's not listen to that. Try to stay neutral, stay in
Yeah.
the middle and
Yeah.
see both sides and look at that communication. I'm a
Look at the
fan.
data. I always tell people look at the actual financial data, learn how to read it and understand it when we talk about job support and things and how that affects stuff. But listen to the economists like Barry Habib. We love Barry. Barry's a great source of information and he doesn't just talk. He always have the charts, the graphs. We call it the receipts. Barry comes with receipts. He's one you can follow. Barry Habib, if Habib, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're looking for someone to follow, and a true economist. Then the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, there's one. His name is Lawrence Yun, Yun. I like him too. He gives, I don't know if he's talking about the shutdown, but he gives like some actual data. Those are the people you want to really look at. The people who are studying the economy, looking at the numbers, and then translating that into how it affects us instead of listening to certain news channels that are just going to tip it to blame this or blame that or to bring whatever rhetoric they want. I don't watch the news for that reason. So you do have to do some digging, but if you really want to educate yourself, going on TikTok and watching that, I'm not saying that's bad because you do learn some things, but make sure you're researching and you're kind of double checking. Fact check yourself, like fact check what you're learning so that you understand what's going on.
Yeah,
Because
and he
that's the
and
biggest thing is education. No, understand what's going on. So
correct, and just giving that one name where he is an economist who looks in the future, he's done very well. Not to mention, I mean, he's not fully appointed from my understanding, but he's been appointed to the Fannie Mae board, which is huge.
it is.
His accolades have gotten him there to
Yep.
be situated to get put on that board. So I know he's been appointed, but I don't think he's fully appointed yet. And that
I'm sure
happened
he will
back
be
well,
because
that happened
he's
back in
really good
July.
at what he does. Yeah.
True, true. And things take time and there's a couple shifts going on. So I don't know if he's fully on the board yet, but he's slotted for it, which is great. That's actually great for the real estate industry is to have
It
him
is.
on
It
such a
is.
big board and to
Mhm.
have that influence of let's look at this logically and by
Right.
numbers, not by
Mhm.
emotion.
Mhm.
I like the fact that there's not emotion tied to it. It's not his opinion. He looks at the data and the data gets reported as the data.
Yes.
I'm a fan of looking at the data and reading it for what it is and not
Yes.
having emotion. So when you're doing your research, look at the source. You don't even have to look at him,
Always.
look at whomever, and just make sure that source is credible and they're not doing opinion based, they're doing fact based. Big difference.
Yes, it's huge. Can't preach that enough, sis. All right. Well, with that, thank you again for being with me on here. We will be back
Always.
Tuesday at 10 a.m. Today is an
Mhm.
anomaly. We're typically not on Fridays, but
We
Tuesday at
both are
10.
so
We
busy.
had a lot
I
going
was
on. We were out of
busy.
town. Yeah, lots of
Yeah,
stuff.
20 I drove 2,300 miles.
That's a lot.
You drove a lot of miles. I'm
I don't
curious to
know
know.
from Delray to up here in Macomb. I don't know how many miles. I'll look it up because I
Yeah.
just know it was a little over 19 hours if you went straight, but it took us 23 because of the stops and having to actually eat and go to the bathroom and get gas.
Well, that's that's helpful.
All the human things that we had to do. But
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. So, all right. So, if you came late, join us on the replay. Check it all out. We'll be here next week. And as always, be blessed. Give us questions, comments. We love it all. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.